So where is the pineal gland? What is it and what's its function? And so we can get started to know that our brain is actually broken up, obviously, into two hemispheres, but it actually is in four quadrants. And if you literally cut all the way down the middle, right between the eyebrows, right here in the back, is where the pineal gland sits. And this pineal gland is very small, and it looks like a walnut. And there's a lot of things that happen, and of course, this is very ancient as well. That where there were probably more of the Eastern philosophy, where the technique of breath work and of meditation and Kriya yoga and things like that were actually used. And again, Chris can talk about this. This is his passion and his expertise. But to activate the pineal gland is to open up the seat of consciousness. And how do we open up and activate the pineal gland? Well, we know very well, actually, right now, the ways in which we can close our pineal gland. And there are a number of things that, especially in the Western world, are being used to, I'm going to say it, nefariously making sure that people are not staying in their consciousness, which our country, the United States or North America, but especially here, there is a tremendous amount of research now because there is a huge epidemic of older people getting Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is really the pineal gland calcifying. And there are a number of ways in which the pineal gland can calcify. And one of those things is fluoride. And fluoride is, of course, in toothpaste, it's in water, it's in a lot of other foods, it's in processed foods, and it's hidden and no one can see it. But it actually creates a calcification so that you do not remember. And we have an epidemic of dementia in people who get older, and now Alzheimer's. And I will say what's really kind of cool about some of the latest discoveries is that there is a correlation now between psilocybin and microdosing psilocybin, which of course is mushrooms, and how that does a reverse effect on patients who have Alzheimer's. Very, very interesting that we can talk about later. But Chris, do you want to dive in a little bit about what is the more ways in which to understand the purpose of the pineal gland?
Yeah, I mean, it's in my mind and from my research, Lisa, it really feels like it's the true radio antenna to these higher dimensions, possibly lower dimensions. It seems to be a very important, hugely important part of the brain that is completely directly linked to our consciousness and also our larger understanding of reality. And if we've talked about in other episodes, this idea of your higher self, well, the pineal gland very well seems to be that direct link to your higher self. It almost creates that bridge of communication, the less calcified it is. And the more it is trained, like any muscle or any part of our brain, and the more it is given the right nutrients, of course, and support, sound, frequencies, everything like that, to enhance it, it will continue to, like any machine or radio device, it'll just operate clearer and better. And so you'll start to find like you're going to get, you hear this common, the spiritual world leads downloads, right? Ideas that just sort of stream right in there. All of a sudden, you don't know where they came from. Well, a big part of that is your pineal gland. It's like the receiver. It's like your inbox in your email, and it's such an important link from our physical reality to the non-physical reality. And so in ancient times, the magi, which were like the magicians, the highly trained magicians of ancient Egypt, they taught about how all of our psychic abilities and all of these, let's call them maybe non-physical, metaphysical abilities, a lot of them stem from your pineal gland. And the more open that is, the more available these other technologies and these other modalities of operating in this reality are available to you. So they were basically pretty much trying to do a lot of their training to open your pineal gland. And as you said, Lisa, now we're living in a world where a lot of things are used to close our pineal gland, completely opposite. So they would do so many things in ancient times, from psychedelic journeys using things like psilocybin, or in ancient Egypt it would be like the lotus flower, or the many different ancient forms of psychedelics. Doesn't really matter, but they would use psychedelics to open this area up more and more, right? So when you do things like magic mushrooms or psilocybin mushrooms, you're opening up your pineal gland. The reason I believe, this is a personal belief, I don't know about the research behind this, but for me, when I've been on psychedelics, I've realized, like, oh, you're not hallucinating like a lot of people think. Oh, I'm just seeing crazy things. I think it's that it's opening up your third eye and your pineal gland so much more that you're used to, so that you're just receiving so much more information. It's like going from that radio station that's on AM radio to then 4K television, kind of a jump of that much, where that would be overwhelming. And that's kind of what a lot of people experience on psychedelics, is just this overwhelm of information. And that's where it's coming from, is this pineal gland is more open now and allowing the transmission of the universe to kind of come in a more, let's say, just higher definition. So that's kind of, one way of explaining it.
No, I love the analogy, and it reminds me of like just seeing one color and then being able to put your eye in a telescope or a kaleidoscope and then turning that kaleidoscope. That's really what the effects are, is that you're opening up the pineal gland in a way in which you, for the most part, many people don't have the context to actually understand what it is that they're seeing or experiencing, because they have not opened things up. The same thing is very true when someone has a kundalini experience, which is the spinal fluid at the very bottom of our spinal fluid, of course, is where our coccyx is. That fluid. If you fall, for example, like on the ice and you hit your coccyx, a lot of people, you could die. First of all, very easy, that's been known to happen. But people also have this massive awakening, and they have the awakening because there is a connection between the pineal gland and all the way down to your spine. And so we're going to read some things today. We're going to get a little scientific, which some of you may like. I am a total science geek. I'm a light science geek, but one nonetheless. So we're going to read a few things from the book Becoming Supernatural from Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he is going to talk about a little bit. I'm just going to read a small little paragraph about what the pineal gland is. Okay. So the pineal gland is a neuroendocrine transducer secreting melatonin responsible for physiological circadian rhythm control. Okay. And we're going to talk about melatonin in just a second. A new form of biomineralization has been studied in the human pineal gland and consists of small crystals that are less than 20 microns in length. These crystals are responsible for the electric mechanical and the biological transduction mechanism in the pineal gland due to the structure of the piezoelectric properties. We're going to talk about the piezoelectric phenomenon in just a second. It's a lot of stuff to talk about, but if we break down what this actually means, is the piezoelectric properties and the transducer. The piezoelectric effect occurs when you apply pressure to a certain material and the mechanical stress in changing into the electrical charge. So there is a pressure, a push or a pull, if you will, which is part of, you don't have to actually be on any psychedelics. This is what yogis have been doing for thousands of years. When you go into a deep state of meditation through actual breath work, you're actually pulsating your pineal gland by connecting first with the sensation within, your brow area, and that pulses into your pineal gland. That's how I see it.